Welcome, everyone, to the Plastic Hearts Podcast. I'm Fonzie.
I'm Fonzie.
See, that's why I would like to say, like, this is Gavin. Yeah. How do you feel about the name? You like that name?
I like the name.
Okay.
It's a really nice name.
Alrighty. So let's break down the news. So this is from last week. So March 19th to today, March 25th. So let's break down some of the news. Before we get into the gaming news, what have you been playing, Kevin?
Too much Division 2.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Why I'm so sleepy today. That and I started laundry late. But it's so fun. It kind of like, this is a weird comparison, but it reminds me of like Breath of the Wild in the sense of like, not that the gameplay is anything like it, but like when I play Breath of the Wild, I just be running around.
I'm excited in my pants area by you comparing that. Yeah.
No, it's not a good comparison, but I would just be distracted. Like I'd see when I play the game, I'd see like 3 different things in the immediate area that I can do. So mentally, I form a list of I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I find another thing along the way. So I just like do 5,000 things, and then before you know it, it's like midnight, and I got to be up in 5 hours.
Yeah. Are you playing with a squad of people? How are you doing that?
No, I'm just sort of playing by myself, and then sort of asking, you can ask for assistance on things, so it'll pull somebody in, or if you do a main mission, then you can get a squad of 4.
That appeals to me quite a bit. Like that's what I liked about Destiny 2. I jumped in, and you don't have to really play with anybody. Mm-hmm. And I like that the option is there, but for me, it never was enticing. So that's really cool. I like to hear that.
Yeah,
that's cool though.
It's fun.
How many hours do you think you're in so far?
Maybe 12. I'm not very far in. I think I'm level 13. My roommate's already like at level cap. I think he's reached like 500 power, which I guess is a big deal.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't even know what my power is. I'm just like, I'm level 13. I got a gun that shoots.
Yeah, that's all you need.
I finally got a sniper rifle that actually like 2 shots people. Like before that, It's been like 6 shotting people with my sniper rifle. It's been, like even the bolt action one. So I'm just over here just like, one day.
Yeah.
What about you? What have you been playing?
Just more Zelda.
More Zelda?
Yeah, I'm finally. So it clicked with me like last week or the week before that. Probably last week, where I finally get the hang of everything, and now I'm just full blown into it, and I'm on. So now I've got 4 of the beasts down.
Yeah,
and I'm ready.
You got all 4 beasts down?
Yeah. And they got easier after the first 2. Like they just became easier. I was like, but then I was listening to where I'm actually leveling up my gear. Cooking stuff, which is amazing, where you can add hearts. I did not know that.
One of the easiest way to earn money in the game, if you didn't know.
By selling the food back? I haven't tried that.
So what I do is I go up to, there's like a horse ranch up in the northern mountains where it's real snowy, and you got to wear just like all Arctic gear. You can't really have good armor on.
Oh, right. Okay, I know that area.
But you do that, and then you're running around, and they have these like rare like rhino-looking things, and so you jump off your horse, and you can usually kill everything before you hit the ground. And then you got to grab the meat real quick before it freezes because it's not very useful. But if you cook 5 of the big fat chunks of meat all at once, it's worth like 1,000 rupees or something like that. Yeah, so I just go hunting for like 30, 45 minutes, get a shit ton of money, and buy whatever I want. But it's like, it doesn't honestly feel like it's cheating. It just feels like you have a job.
Right. Because in turn, you spend the time doing that. Yeah. So it's like... Yeah, so it's not easy. That's cool. I did not know that you could do that. I knew that there was like temperature aspects to the items that you drop or that you have on you, like when you're in the Goron, I want to say, area. Mount Death.
Cook the food, but
you can just throw food out there, which is cool. And then all your stuff is on fire if it's wood based. But I didn't know that it froze. That's really cool.
Yeah.
There's tons of little things. It's like I didn't know that's there. And then you see it, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like the updraft from fires where you can just use your little cape thing or your little glider. It's like, that's awesome. And they've really thought of everything. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'm just 100% on board. And I used to hate this game like last year. I hated it where it's like I wanted to be in on it and I wanted to play it, but it was just so hard for me to. And then that was frustrating because I felt like it shouldn't be that hard. Yeah. But it's now rewarding. And it is still hard. Yeah. Like there's those half horse, half human guys.
Oh, well, those are like the hardest enemies.
Yeah, they suck. But so like there's still that kind of stuff. No, I think I got halfway through one. Yeah. And then those like huge bone guys came out of the ground. It's like, oh, what's going on? And so they're attacking me too.
Oh. Yeah, that's not fair. I still remember the first time I took one on. It was in like a super ominous like arena, and I used I was just like, this is it. I'm finally taking one down. I whipped out like all my best equipment, and it still was just like a 15-minute battle. And by the time I was finished, I was like, fuck yes.
Yeah.
It got you.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that feeling, and the whole game, the game's like filled with that kind of feeling.
That's fun.
Yeah, so I'm ready to fight Ganon. I was gonna wait to actually beat it because my nephew's like super interested, and he was asking me like he was over yesterday. He was like, I want to see you beat it, but I just wasn't there yet, so I'm gonna wait, beat it, so he can see me beat it.
Yeah.
And then there's still way more stuff to do beyond that.
Oh yeah.
Like I downloaded the DLC and there's a lot more just challenges, and I can still upgrade my stuff. I do have the Hylian shield and the sword now.
Right.
But
was it Hylian shield?
Yeah. Or is that what did I say?
You said shield.
Oh, okay.
I never got that.
Oh, you didn't get it? Yeah, I just because I knew it's there, and it's not even the most powerful shield, but it's really durable. So I was like, I want that, and I just like having the classic shield on. But yeah, it's in the castle, in the like the basement area. You can go there at any point. Really.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
I didn't inspect the castle too much.
Gotcha. That's what I'm kind of doing. I'm just kind of digging around and finding stuff. But yeah,
getting all super equipped.
Yeah, so then I could just smack Ganon once and then.
It's not gonna be like that. It's a really cool finale though.
I imagine
I really
it's going
liked
to be.
it. My only complaint is like I wish it had one more phase.
Gotcha.
But
I've heard the music's really cool.
So cool. I just wanted one more cool moment. But yeah, it's really good. It's really good.
I kind of got tricked into a couple of things. Like there's a island that's far off the map that you can glide to eventually. And but once you get there, it takes all of your items and stuff.
You glided there?
Yeah, I just glided there.
How the hell did you glide
I just upgraded
there?
my grip strength and then just cruised down there.
I can't believe you made it that far.
I'm sure you could use the boat things. I just didn't want to do that, so I just because there's like a mountain peak right pretty close to it, so you could just cruise down. It takes maybe an hour of gliding down there.
That was one of my favorite parts of the game.
I didn't do it because I was just like, you taking everything that I have? Like, I don't want to do this. But at least at that point, because then there's no like, are you sure you want to do this? You just once you're there, you're stuck. So I just like loaded another save. But yeah, no, I'm on board. Eventually, I will finish it and play something else. But
that sucks up a lot of time.
Yeah. But I'm totally happy with it. That's all I want to do is play Zelda all day.
Right. It's so weird though because it feels so different than the Zeldas that have been coming out for a while.
Right. And so I've been thinking it'd be cool to play the other ones that I've missed in the past couple of years, but I know it's not going to have the same mechanics.
No, not at all.
So it's going to be kind of a bittersweet thing where I want to get those, I want to play those games that I missed, but I know it's going to be just a little bit clunkier. But
yeah, I'm excited for the next one because I guess after this one they hired like a shit ton of level designers.
Oh,
so like I can only imagine that the next one, while it may not necessarily be bigger, it's probably going to be even more densely packed.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, and that'll be fun.
Yeah, because it really had to build all these mechanics with like the weather and the elements interacting with each other. Where I feel like that's a lot of the hard part, just getting that to work. Now that it works, maybe the next iteration, if they use the same kind of mechanics, which I imagine they will be faster to just start layering stuff because they've done all the work of making sure everything works together.
Yeah.
All right. Have you been playing anything else? Just more Division? Long Division?
Long Division.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a bunch of crap that happened.
Yeah.
And Google Stadia was announced. Google had a press conference, which is kind of a weird press conference, but they announced, that they're getting into streaming, game streaming. And I got kind of some of the bullet points down here too, but
it's exciting. By the way, we should add to the end of this. They did announce another thing for No Man's Sky today.
Oh yeah. I have it in the thing. Yep.
All right. Make sure that's on.
And I think the internet's fast enough. We can see some footage.
Play.
That's from the get-go. It's like that's what it should be. And
so
so now it is there. It's a roguelike now, but
it's a roguelike.
No. Although there is a Zelda something or other that I was going to show you.
Crypto the Necrodancer. Yeah. I don't know how Ryan Clark sat on that one for as long as he did.
Interesting. And I imagine the details of that team and like the just how good of a get that is for him. But I know when I was watching the press conference, I was like, oh, I remember Gavin talking about that game.
Yeah,
that's really rad.
Super fun.
Yeah. So
Stadia.
Which there's a lot of jokes about it sounding like a sugar substitute or something, like a stevia.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of the name.
I appreciate the quality of the jokes about the name. Like it's an STD, it's a sugar substitute, it's a medication.
Yeah.
Really just the internet kind of came out gold on that one. But we've seen that before where you had this weird fucking name like the Nintendo Wii.
Yeah.
And then eventually it becomes a household name and you don't care anymore. You forget that we were making fun of this name.
Yeah, for sure. That's usually what happens.
Yeah.
Although Stadia does seem still kind of too nerdy and like, not like, like when your mom's like, hey, go play your Nintendo. Like, I don't see that adapting that same kind of just well-known phrase, but I don't know.
I can see that.
But yeah, Stadia. So it's a game streaming platform. I got some of the bullet points down.
Okay.
It's due out in 2019. No specific date. They did announce, or they did say that there's more announcements in the summer. Probably E3 is, I imagine, when they're really going to get into the nitty gritty.
Which is a weird time to do it.
You think so? Because they're really trying to compete, with these other platforms. Or why not? Especially since Sony's out, like they have more of a room to breathe. But would you foresee them skipping E3 or like somewhere? Something
I think they should skip E3. You think they can't compete with these other. Like,
I mean,
when these people are
in
on
their world,
their A game, like, they're lucky Reggie Fils-Aimé isn't around to just walk in and be.
Yeah. And kick some ass. I don't know, because I think they're kind of gearing this towards that as a competitor. But so, in my mind, yeah, you would want to show up with those, at least for the notoriety, until people start plugging you in with these consoles. Even if you can't, like, graphics wise, processing wise, compete with them, at least you're in the namesake with all of them. You're in the ball game with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe they just kind of have, which is the popular thing now. Maybe before E3, around E3, they just have their own event and they kind of announce stuff on their own time and not be in with all that stuff. But
it'd be cool if at that event, I think we discussed this, like, people could just log in and play it.
Ooh, interesting.
That'd be great. Do the whole thing on YouTube and like, by the way, plug in your because you can play with whatever controller you want. By the way, plug in your Xbox controller and you can play this demo right now.
That would be the ultimate way to show, hey, this works. You can play this now. Like even while their keynote is happening. Like, hey, just jump in, you can play it, and we'll show your little screen on our keynote, one of the thousands or whatever.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah, that'd be the mic drop. Like, that's been the biggest question mark with this is, okay, does it work? How does it look? And that's their biggest hurdle that they have to show that off. But some of the stuff they're promising, which is pretty out there, but 4K, 60 frame per second, game streaming. Right. The logistics is where it kind of, you have more questions. So the goal is eventually down the line in, I don't know, 2030, 8K and 120 frame per second ability, to stream in the future.
I just don't see that.
Right. But at the very least, so I got some of the actual breakdowns of the requirement for the internet speed. So 25 megabit per second connection for 1080, 30 for 1080p. I want to say that's 60 frames still, and then 30 megabit for 4K, 60 frames per second.
25 megabit for 1080p?
Yeah, for 1080p. So that's the baseline. But they can do and I pulled up some actual national averages, but 25 megabit seems to be accessible by most people in the US.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, apparently. So it's not as bad as we thought.
Consistently, though, that's the thing. Like, that's not a consistent connection.
Right. So I'm not sure. And there's also a whole other world that I don't know much about, which is pinging, and how that introduces lag and latency, and that's a whole other ball game. So yeah, you can have your actual high-speed internet connection that stays around the whatever 25, 30 megabits, but if your pinging is off or slow, then you still can't play it. I mean, it has to go to their servers, come back to your just to press your controller in real time.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, yikes. Although I did bring up some of their data centers. So we're kind of jumping around, but I have an image of the Google data centers because for it to work, your input on your controller, whether it's theirs or a third party, whatever, has to go to their servers, their data servers, and then come back to you, right?
Right.
So they have some, at least in the U.S., they have a bunch. They have like 11. They have one in the Dalles, Oregon, which is pretty close to us, in Washington State, which is awesome.
That's right.
But that's really it for the West Coast is the Dalles. Yeah. And then everything else is East Coast, Midwest.
I like the one South America.
Yep. So I imagine they would need to kind of beef that up. They're Google. They have the money to throw around, but for it to work, that's really the bulk of it. The power needs to be there in the data centers.
I think that's another thing too. Is like you hear a lot of gamers in like you'll hear in Africa or like South America, or just like they're so far away from these servers, just normally for multiplayer games, that it's a problem.
Gotcha.
So like doing something that much more demanding like this is going to be I just don't see it. I mean, you still look at the popularity of things like Redbox or things like that. For people can't go diskless, and I know that's going to come back in later, But people can't go discless because it's just not always possible. People can't even always do online multiplayer.
Right. Although, if we're just talking about like how they start to strategize and tackle which market first with the U.S., I feel like it's possible within the U.S. You know, and then you can start to really expand, and it's going to get harder as you expand to different countries. But like Europe, you know, you do have a lot of data centers there, at least for Google. You have overall pretty good high speed. So I mean, if they are focusing on the U.S. first and Europe, these areas with more data centers, it's doable there. It's just when you think about if they're tackling the whole world, that's an issue. There's we're pretty privileged here,
right?
But it's doable here. Yeah. Anyway, so we'll break down some of the more details, but so they announced their little controller too, which works. So it works through the Chromecast to send the through Wi-Fi to send the actual data of the controller to their data centers back. You can use a Xbox, PlayStation 4 controller,
which I love,
which is cool. Yeah,
was brilliant.
I think that has to work with through PC though, and then it sends the information back and forth. Yeah. They haven't announced any like price points, any details on that. Because you're going to have to pay some kind of subscription, I imagine, or it's per game. I don't know.
It has to be subscription based.
You think?
There's they can't be running those centers without it. Like,
how much do you think would be a fair price per month? And it would be unlimited, I imagine. So every game that drops, you'd be able to play it.
Maybe. I don't know. I would pay. I just canceled my what is it? My Origin subscription, and that was like $15 a month. So I'd probably pay $15 a month. Now, is that a fair price for the amount of like hardware and stuff they're throwing behind us?
Right.
Probably not.
Right.
That's what I'd pay, but yeah, probably.
What
not
did
a
Origin
fair
get
price.
you?
Huh?
What did the Origin subscription get you?
I did it so I could start playing Anthem without paying the full $60.
Right. Okay.
And
gotcha.
I'm really glad because now I only paid $30 because I let it refresh once.
Yeah.
So now I never had to feel bad about not playing that game again.
Yeah. I'll catch it when it's on sale, but yeah, I feel the same way.
I wouldn't even.
Really?
Yeah. Like I feel like, yeah. Like I know, like even with like I know we've been talking about buying Fallout 76, and I still feel like even if that game's bad, we'll still have like a decently fun Fallout time.
Because I love that world and I know that world. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I hear it's not. I mean, if it weren't for the bugs, it wouldn't be the worst game of all time.
With Fallout.
Yeah, but
well, they do have it's like the Appalachia expansion. Like they have these expansions rolling out, so it's all free stuff. I imagine that's gonna be pretty cool.
I'd check it out. But Anthem is just like it feels like the UI makes no sense the way it's organized. I can't find shit. Like the loading times, even if you don't count the fact that they shorten the loading times, there's still like many loading times that happen, and it's like, well, that's my immersion.
Yeah,
my immersion.
Where you're just on your phone and but you still don't want to have to jump out to do that.
Yeah. And it's like the gameplay is not even worth it. So
I see. That's a bummer. Yeah, for sure.
In my opinion.
We kind of finish up Stadia. They did have Doom Eternal show up. They had who's he? What's it from? id Software. He's really well known. Head at the
Gabe
studio.
Newell.
Yeah, sure. He showed up, but yeah, and so which is nuts to me that they wouldn't have this, they wouldn't partner so publicly with id to show off their tech to prove that it can happen. They can do 60 frames per second, 4K streaming. So I don't think they would make that connection if it wasn't possible, or at least on id side too. They wouldn't throw their chips in there and say like, hey, we can do this.
I mean that has to be because Doom's such a fast game,
right?
So I think that was brilliant. Yeah. It was very glitchy though, from what they showed, which was like this was just a background. Like, why is this glitching out? And not in like 1080p resolution even. It was super blurry.
Yeah. So they have to. Do you foresee them doing another beta test beforehand, or was it just they got all the information they needed out of the Assassin's Creed one they did?
I don't know.
I feel like it wouldn't hurt, but I don't know what else can be learned from another beta, but.
I could see them beta testing, so they showed like with YouTube where you could play on YouTube and the people could join in on YouTube, which I think is a great idea.
And you let fantastic. Streamers start that, and that just helps their channels too. Yeah. Like just let them break it and figure it out. That'd
be really fun. I don't know how you monetize like that. Like, does everyone that's playing have to buy a copy of NBA Jam or whatever? Or
interesting.
I imagine so.
Well, I guess it'd make more sense to allow anyone to watch the stream, but if you want to jump in, you have to be a Stadia subscription, pay that fee. But then that'd be good advertising. It's like, because you could jump in with a click a button if you have the subscription. So, and you can watch it in the meantime.
Yeah.
But
and I don't know, will they support outside of YouTube? Like, is Twitch not gonna get it?
Right.
Like,
right. And that's what, I didn't pull any articles about that, but there's kind of talk about, does this create some kind of, there's always already been a war and like just these competing companies with Twitch and YouTube, but now this kind of furthers that divide because they're a game service now and not just for streaming. And Twitch doesn't have anything like that, right? They have like the Twitch Plays kind of stuff,
which is way different. And then like the other thing on top of that is like, you can't really, like, let's say you're a partnered streamer, you can't, you've signed the contract, you can't just stream it on YouTube and also just be streaming that to Twitch, because in the contract it says you can't be. It has to be so. I don't know if you're allowed to stream on YouTube at all.
Gotcha.
But you can't, like.
It's almost like an exclusivity deal or something.
Yeah, there's an exclusivity. Like when you upload something to YouTube, it has to be so long since you did it on Twitch. Like there's a fair amount of rules to it. So you can't just, be doing both at the same time with that, which is kind of, not that you'd have the bandwidth to do both at the same time anyway.
Yeah, but I think this might kind of further that divide with them kind of picking sides and changing their model. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of potential. I'm really stoked. I'm really interested. They did announce a first party studio. They haven't announced a name or whatever, but they are investing money to develop their own games. They're getting third party support. I think that was the whole push at GDC, was like, hey, developers, do you want in on this?
Yep.
Hit us up.
Absolutely.
Yep. So, I mean, I did pull up an article that, so Phil Harrison is the guy who was the head guy
I
there.
thought he died. I felt really bad when I saw him on stage. I'm like, oh.
I thought you were dead.
I thought it,
is there another kind of company head that maybe died that you're thinking of?
It's possible. It's honestly possible.
Interesting. So they did kind of break down the nitty gritty where they are sticking with that. They're just requiring 25 megabits, and then it's 30 megabits for that, higher end experience. They broke down the Chromecast. So I'm pulling up Kotaku's article by Maddie Myers where they interview. Actually, this is from their Split Screen podcast with Jason Schreier, but they interview Phil Harrison and they talk about just some of the details. Yeah. They couldn't get any definite, like, what will it cost? And there's just more info in the summer. But yeah, so one thing I found interesting was Jason Schreier kind of grills Phil Harrison. So he asks, is this just another ambitious Google project that will disappear in a few years like Google Plus?
Oh.
And which is because they have other things that they've tried, like there's Google Glass, there's at least 3 or 4. Right, and they just or even fiber, I think, which would play into this because they're paying money to rebuild these infrastructures with high-speed internet. Yeah. And they kind of, that fell through.
Well, it cost too much money.
Right.
Yeah, I imagine, well, we tried it, not worth.
Yeah. And imagine as, Triple G or whatever, the like super fast wireless internet goes, that might take that over. But so I mean, so he responds, I understand the concern, but I think that all you have to do is look at the level of investment that we've made to continue to make in Stadia. So, they are putting everything behind this. They had their head of Google, I forget his name, but he started the keynote and admitted that, I'm not a gamer, but, we're putting all our money behind this. I forget the gentleman's name, but
I appreciate him being honest.
Right. But yeah, I mean, more questions, but a lot of potential there. I'm on board. I'm not like a super naysayer on it. Like, I'm stoked.
Yeah.
But I understand it may not work as well as they planned.
Right.
I get that.
Absolutely.
So that was a big one. That kind of like shook everything up. And I wonder if we'll see reactions from other, the big competitors like Sony, like Microsoft, to see if they already have their own streaming stuff in the wing, but will they go hard on that with this next couple of years?
I think it's kind of funny that Apple had to follow it up with their launch of their thing.
Yeah, and I feel like their announcement was a bit more lame compared to that, but but it is there. Yeah.
You're not walking out there going, this thing has more teraflops than an Xbox One X and a PS4 Pro combined.
Right.
Like, oh.
Which when they start comparing teraflops, I tune out because I don't know what that means. I don't know what that is. I can't understand. I understand it's more teraflops, but what does it actually do?
I mean, it does more. Okay. What does it do? I mean, you think about it now. I really don't know much about hardware at all, but you just think about it, that's that many more polygons you can do per second, or you can have your AI do more checks per second, which could allow you to do smarter AI, or you can have a good example that I think we don't have enough anymore is like more advanced physics. And I think they even at one point said like we have like they were flying through this like fully destructible city, which in the short clip I saw they didn't destroy any of it.
Oh, with the Stadia.
Yeah, and I was like, what was? I mean, I hope in the actual full length clip of that they destroyed some of that city, because otherwise that's just like that was really
well. That's interesting with the teraflops because. If we go back to when Xbox One X was announced, they were really comparing. They're whipping it on the table and measuring these. We have more teraflops than the PS4 Pro.
Right.
But when it came down to it, and a lot of it's like third-party games, they're all kind of at the same baseline. They all pretty much perform the same way.
Yeah.
So it's like you're really not seeing that performance, even though it's possibly there.
Well, it's hard as a developer. Like if you're gonna be cross-platform, which you might as well be cross-platform,
right?
Then you got to make sure it works on everything. But the thing on top of that is like if you want it to work for the Pro and for the regular unit, like that makes your games have to be even more homogenized,
like scalable in some way.
Yeah, exactly. Like so, if you're gonna go all out for like a Pro or an Elite or whatever, like yeah, I don't know. There's not enough incentive for people.
See, yeah, that's tough. On the consumer end, you're getting advertised as this super powerful machine, but on the developer side, they're not going to put all their chips in a portion of that market. Like only a handful of people, a large handful of people compared to everyone who owns an Xbox owns an Xbox One X. So why just go for that crowd? You're going to get less sales doing it that way. But then on the consumer end, it's like, I bought this powerful machine, yet it's baseline with everything else. It's frustrating. Yeah. But, and that's, maybe we'd see more first party stuff from Xbox really take advantage of those teraflops. But like Crackdown came out, didn't do that.
No, said it was gonna, didn't.
Yeah.
And it does bring up the other issue too. If you are taking advantage of that hardware, then you kind of split the market. I still remember how annoyed I was with the new 3DS because I love my 3DS and I think it's great. It's a great system. It's got some of my favorite games of all time on it. But then like the new 3DS came out and they're just like a whole bunch of games came out for it that I just couldn't play because I couldn't afford to buy another 3DS.
What was the difference? So did it add the little nub on the new 3DS?
Yeah, the nub was built in. The 3D screen was better. So like, whereas the old one you'd have to hold it in a very specific place to see the 3D properly. This one could kind of track your head a little bit and adjust the screen, which I've been saying for years. And they still should have done more with that. Like it wouldn't be that hard to not only do that, but make it so like you could even have the camera adjust a little bit so it actually looks like you're looking through like a magical window.
Right. It actually adjusts for you, changing your perspective.
Yeah. And it was just more powerful. So like you could play some different, like the example that I really wanted to play that I couldn't was Xenoblade Chronicles.
I know that franchise, but
yeah. Yeah. They had, they re-released it for the 3DS. And I thought that was perfect. I'm like, hey, I can finally beat this game because it's like 2,000 hours. It's like 300 or something, 200, something like that. But like, I was never going to work a full-time job and beat that game. But if I was commuting on the train to work every day,
there you go.
It's like, yeah, I'll knock out an hour on the way there, an hour
but
on
it
the
was
way
too
back.
powerful or developed for that next.
Yeah.
That
And
next,
someone actually did hack
Switch,
it to work
yes.
on the regular 3DS, and it chugged bad.
Gotcha. There is some Nintendo rumors. I do like to follow some of the rumor stuff. There's some rumors with the Switch.
Those are going to be true.
You think so?
I'd
Okay.
put money on
We'll
it.
get into that. So
I think both of them.
So there's more rumors. We'll start off a good chunk of rumors. So there's the Xbox One S all digital. Some apparent box art has leaked. And this does seem like more and more of a thing that's going to happen. The rumor is that this summer it's going to be announced. But I'm going to IGN. So this is Joe Scribbles from IGN writing about the all digital Xbox One S. Some of the details apparently leaking. Really, it's box art that's coming out that is having everyone just.
Which is a weird leak.
Yeah. But I mean, that's with like say the Sonic thing that we found. A lot of time it's advertising all these different firms that's where the cracks. That's where stuff falls through the cracks because there's just so much stuff trading hands.
Yeah.
But so the rumor is there's a terabyte a diskless Xbox One S. So in this package apparently. So the image also apparently shows the console will come with a 1 terabyte hard drive plus codes for Sea of Thieves, Minecraft, Forza Horizon 3. Apparently not Forza Horizon 4. But no pricing has been revealed yet. I do think for them to get more people in on this last end of the generation, $150, $100. I mean, then there's like a no-brainer, and it's a little bit cheaper.
Hit that cheap though?
I don't know. I mean, they're offering I want to say $200 for. We looked up last time. $200 for the baseline Xbox One S. So this has the Blu-ray drive removed, so maybe $50.
Yeah.
Maybe they take even more of a cut just so they can kind of just get some more ground covered, by getting those people in. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
If they can hit $150, 100, then that'd be gangbusters for them.
I'd get it if it were that much.
Yeah, I would switch my 1X to one of these because I see no point in having the 1X. It really was kind of it's a bummer. But I just want to be able to play these exclusive.
You got the 1X.
Yeah, I do.
Well, you have a 4K TV though.
I do, but the games aren't there that I care about playing in 4K. Like I already have the PS4 Pro, so the only one that I should have played on Xbox One X was Red Dead. It was slightly better on Xbox One X.
Oh.
But it still looked beautiful on PS4 Pro, so I don't know. And I've never been that much of a hardware geek where I have to have like the newest thing. I was just kind of in the hype where I was like, okay, then they're kind of down the line they might introduce some newer stuff, but I don't really think they're gonna take advantage of that power. But yeah. So I mean, you're pretty much on board. This is gonna happen. You think this Xbox One S digital?
There's no reason for it not.
It's not a lot of risk, right?
No, it's not a lot of risk, and honestly, that's gonna split the audience less than having the One X and the regular.
Sure.
Would just discless is like you either want it or you don't.
Right.
Like I'd take it.
Right. And I do think that as these companies explore like their options going forward, if you present these options, it doesn't really have to fracture your client base. It just gives them an option. And if they're all performing basically around the same thing, then they just have an option now. We learned that with phones. You can kind of jump in when you want in the next hardware release, and you're still in the mix. You're still playing the same stuff.
Yeah, phones are diskless systems. They work fine.
And they work fine.
Gaming is going great. The only thing I don't like is there's still shelf space. You only have so much shelf space in a store.
Okay.
So it does matter to these stores.
That's the biggest. Yeah, that's going to be the biggest struggle. And I did pull up something from Sony recently, which I'll get into about them kind of going more all digital or at least planting those seeds. Yeah. But it was very strange news that with them. Let me jump to that just because we're on the same subject.
Well, they make more money that way, too.
Yeah.
Print a physical good.
So I'm going to actually look it up. So what they announced on Sunday was that they're taking away the download cards out of GameStops and eventually other retail stores. So you can still buy like PSN, points or whatever, or the monthly thing. But as far as download codes for like Minecraft or like the actual download code for a game to just digitally download it, those are being removed. So they want to then instead funnel everyone just through PSN, and that's where you would download stuff. It's a weird move. It's a weird flex.
Yeah.
But
weird flex.
But maybe that's just them thinking towards the future with streaming or with downloading, or going on digital rather. But then you burn those retailers. You burn that connection with them. The more you do that, and that's kind of it's a weird dance you have to do. I'm gonna pull that up though.
That's definitely a weird move.
Because I would love, hey, we're just gonna go all digital, but then the stores go, okay, cool. We're not going to sell your hardware. We're not going to sell your controllers. We need to sell something. So you're going to lose that connection with them.
Right.
So this is from The Verge. I'm pulling this up right now. From Nick Stat. Sony confirms it will stop letting GameStop and other retailers sell PS4 download codes.
I still think the fact that you can buy a download code is I mean.
Do you do that? Have you ever done that?
No, and I thought it was weird the other day, like in Walmart, like the Wii cartridge for Fortnite. It's just like does not contain a cartridge.
What's the point of that?
It's download. Why? Yeah. But I mean, it's something that like PC gamers dealt with 7 years ago or something like
That's
that.
True.
Where you go in and you just get a code that you download on Steam, which was always kind of dumb to me because sometimes you don't want to deal with a really long download time.
Yeah, that's true. As far as like having the disc that you can then download and then but there's usually still like in this day and age. There's always updates. There's always stuff to connect to. Yeah. But there is still that initial install that is massive. Like with Red Dead, it's like 100 plus gigabyte download. So if you had that disc, you're still using the internet features and what have you. But if you have that disc to just do the brunt of that, some people pay per, not per stream, per like megabit use with their internet, which is nuts to me. Right. But that's all they have, and so they're stuck with having to download these crazy patches. Yeah. I don't know, but it is kind of their just a slight step towards that. I don't know if that will anger retailers very much because they're still going to sell controllers, still going to sell other items, actual games there. So, but maybe it's them slowly starting to get the gears going.
Yeah.
A lot of our news actually is about these various companies
All the hardware,
slowly
yeah.
moving. But yeah, hardware, but also just everyone kind of slowly moving towards some kind of either all digital or digital focused future, which is kind of inevitable, right?
Right.
So we were jumping around. So we talked about Xbox. This thing, I just want to get your take on if you've read into it. But so Oculus was at GDC. They showed off this this wire-free VR unit. It's called Oculus Quest, and it's almost like a mobile unit. There's no you don't need a PC. It doesn't tether to anything. It just works. Yeah,
Bullshit.
They were demoing it at a GDC. So they were demoing a couple of games. One of them was Beat Saber, and apparently Beat Saber worked really great on it.
Beat Saber looks so fun.
Right? I want to play it. I really want to play it.
I have very little interest in VR. I would play Beat Saber.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I really want to jump into VR, but Beat Saber is also one that's jumped out at me. But I like that they've got the tech down. It's not a high-end experience, just like because they're promoting the Oculus Rift S, I want to say, S, and then the Oculus Quest. So they're both the same price, though, but one requires the PC, the powerful PC, but you do get better fidelity, you have better tracking,
right?
But you have more of an option now. But it seems like they're kind of breaking that divide where now it's the tech is getting better and better to where you don't need a honkin' PC to play this and still have a fun time. But they're demoing it, and people are actually pretty positive about it.
I don't know. I don't feel like I'd want to do it without the PC. Like, if I'm going to be playing this thing, and I need a really high resolution. I've been told that if you're playing one of these things on a low resolution.
Yeah, that is the issue. And I haven't played it as well, but or very much. But yeah, with resolution, that's where you really notice it when it's up on your freaking eyes. So it does have to. You can't really cut corners with that.
No, and you're already like rendering everything twice, so it already requires a ton of horsepower.
Yeah. So apparently, I'm just saying that people are digging this Quest at GDC.
That's the other thing. Google is saying that it's going to be able to do VR with that thing, and I call the bulliest of bullshits on that, because if you have just a little bit of delay with your head movement when you're in VR,
that's what causes the nausea, right? Or
that's one of the things. Yeah, there's so much, and that's a big one. And so like Oculus and these other companies work super hard to get that delay down to nothing, and now you're going to bring it back up to like a 15th of a second. Like, no way.
What about Drunk Simulator 2019, where you do have that sway? That's what they could focus on. Just like, and you have your Taco Bell that's like half eaten. Maybe that's where it could work.
Well, now I'm interested.
Yeah. Piqued my interest. Okay, so yeah.
Connects to your Grubhub so you can actually.
Yeah, but I found that interesting. There's some stuff at, just with GDC, they get to actually like test out some hardware and just kind of get feedback and let people test it, or like other developers, other press. Yeah. But yeah, so this was, I'm going to keep on Microsoft. So they had a stream recently. It was March 26th, where they were really showcasing indies. So, this hasn't happened yet. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because Sony just did this.
Sony did do it?
Yeah, Sony did that today.
Did they announce anything cool?
Yeah, they did.
Aside from, what's it called? Space Game.
Space Game, yeah.
So fucking psyched.
That one was today. Let's switch to that. Tomorrow, Microsoft also has their own indie showcase. So everyone's just on the indie kick, which is good. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. I was going to break down some of the Nintendo Nindies, the announcements there, but let's switch to the Sony one. So this is kind of the kickoff of a new timed like release of information. It's called the State of Play, where they will just start breaking down or like announcing stuff that's like game releases and whatnot. So they had some VR releases. I haven't checked this one out, but there's a Marvel's Iron Man VR.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, and so you just kind of take on your Tony Stark, and you get to do various stuff. It's on PS4, no time frame released, but apparently this year, somewhat. So I just pulled up GameSpot's article. Kevin Nezovic, if I'm saying that correctly. So some Crash Team. Are you interested in Crash Team Racing at all? There's the
I'm not, but I know a lot of people are excited. Apparently, it's a really fun game.
Yeah, it's like. I never played when it came out, but it's like super nostalgic. People love it. Apparently, it's like up there with Mario Kart. Even some people think better, but I've never played it.
That's a pretty high bar right there. So
right.
I mean,
I love these remakes. Like I love the Crash one, the Spyro. So more of that, I'm on board with. Even though that's something I may not play, but
I think I'd play the what's that? Jak and Daxter. I never got to play those back in the day. I would totally play a remake of that.
They're cool. They're cool. Yeah. So I imagine. Because they did not Jak and Daxter, but Ratchet and Clank Insomniac, and it was beautiful. It was awesome, and it was like a remake of one of the original ones, but they have yet to do Jak and Daxter. I don't know who owns that. If that's I think Naughty Dog did that
may
originally.
Be the same people. I'm not sure. I remember the Ratchet and Clank one looking gorgeous.
It was like a Pixar movie. It was really really cool, funny, and the gameplay was awesome. So they announced some games. One big one was No Man's Sky VR to PC, but also PSVR too.
I think the thing that has me excited about this too is like not only is that like the game is in an awesome state and playing that in first person would be so incredibly immersive, but there's also on the Twitch side of things, I know some people that they were big into No Man's Sky and then they're big into like VR stuff. So the fact that they get their cake and they get to eat it too, like a lot of people playing. What's that Elite Dangerous with like they'll wear like VR headsets and they'll have like their space controls. So this is going to be up a lot of people's. Oh God, look at that screen. God, that's so huge. Yeah, God, this game is cool now.
Yeah. They really just did a 180 completely. I mean, they always had the cool idea. It was just, I think maybe the way they, people have talked about it a ton. The way it was maybe announced, that's what bit him in the butt. The marketing, the whatever, the big push, that's what bit him in the butt. Well, if they could have tailored those or brought back those expectations, it wouldn't have been such a weird release. But
I mean, I think the thing too is when the game initially did release, it wasn't. Not only was it not what they promised, it wasn't that good.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot to do. It was more like there's some, the groundwork is here, but there's not a lot of features.
I still can't believe like with how stripped down and basic it was at launch. I can't believe that game engine was flexible enough that they were able to turn it I'm shocked. I can't believe they could turn that into that without tearing out the whole thing. And like when they tore out the graphics engine, that's not even that really difficult to do for a game, like tearing out the graphics engine and replacing that, but doing the other stuff like would be, but they didn't tear it out. They just kept upgrading, and like the fact that they made it that flexible is way, way more talented than I thought they were.
Interesting. And they're not a big team, right? They're pretty.
It's
small.
not.
Yeah.
I mean, they're probably bigger now.
Gotcha.
But you never know. Like they had to do that with Sea of Thieves. Like that was a small team, and it was really successful. And
it's like, Rare, right? With
Rare, which is not. I don't know if it's not as big as it used to be, or that's just part of the team.
Okay.
But which I still find it weird. Like I've never played it, but I still find it weird that game's as popular as it is, because when I watch people play, I'm like, I don't know what you're doing. It looks like you're just. It doesn't look like they're doing that much, but apparently it's very fun. It
looks fun when I'm watching it. Like I've watched various streams, and I feel like that's what is drawing people in. Not the sandbox element, but just how weird it is, and all the different stuff that everyone can join in and kind of participate, and it's fun. But I hear what you're saying with that. Yeah. So some of the other announcements, Ready Set Heroes, I'm not sure, but that's a PS4 game that they announced for player multiplayer.
Isometric dungeon crawler.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that Marvel's game or DC or whatever has some competition now.
Oh sure, yeah.
For Nintendo.
Yeah, what is that? It's Marvel Legends Ultimate Alliance. Yeah. Also Five Nights at Freddy's VR on PS4 VR. Which, I think it lends well to VR because it's a scary game, so it's kind of the next logical step. Yeah. But,
I don't know how they're changing it, because he's always done, to my knowledge, pre-rendered graphics. You can't really be doing that in VR, so is he jumping away from the pre-rendered graphics then?
Maybe you could just, it's still that kind of pre-rendered room, you just have your own movement around it, if that's any different. But I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. It'd be kind of... Let's see. God, those games are fucking creepy.
Yeah, I can't do it. It's just not for me.
Like, I know jump scares are like the cheapest of all scares, but they're still scary.
Yeah. So kind of more of an announcement and not really so gameplay yet, but
that's cool.
Yeah, Concrete Genie, which is one of their kind of first party games that they've been showing off. It doesn't look interesting at all to me, but really? What's interesting to me is the fact that it hasn't come out yet. Like they've been showing this at E3s for the past 3-4 years. But it's like this. You can kind of paint and create in this world, and there's like enemies somewhat, but like you're using this painting mechanic to like change the world and to solve puzzles, and it is a neat idea, but it's just surprising how long it's been worked on.
Those facial animations look terrible.
They're almost going for like the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, where it's that the animation is different. Like it's just kind of quickly, it can change quickly, but not with that quality or style. But I feel like that's where they're going with, almost like a stop animation kind of thing. But
I like the name.
Yeah, it's just kind of flying under the radar. But they just had I think a trailer for this one, a trailer for Days Gone. We kind of talked about Days Gone. Another trailer for Mortal Kombat, which I'm stoked for. I'll never be good at the actual game, but it's fun to. That's one of the coolest games to watch people play.
I mean, it's fun to play. Like you and I can jump in and have a game, and just do the simple jump kick, uppercut, trip kick, and that's it. And you're still having fun. You don't know any of the special. Maybe you know one or two special moves, but half the time you can just do that rock paper scissors, and it's really fun.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm very excited for that. Yeah. At least to watch the streams of that being played.
Oh yeah,
for sure. We had some other stuff happen. We got the Nindies, and I found there were some interesting Nindies that were announced too. So that was last Tuesday, Wednesday. So we got the. I'm gonna go in order here. So
that's the new.
Is Blaster Master Zero?
Yeah, Blaster Master. I heard the last Blaster Master was pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know much about it, but So there's a Blaster Master Zero sequel.
Did you ever play the original on NES?
No.
Fucking harder than shit. I don't know if we're supposed to be swearing on this podcast, but
I don't know either.
it was hard as hell. Like it was not very fair. It was gorgeous, but God, was it?
I think we can curse. We just however we talk normally. I feel like we should.
Lambier, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So Nuclear Throne. One of these was some kind of like pinball thing. I don't think that's the one. But Nuclear Throne.
Oh yeah, I saw a little bit of that. It was weird.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of highlight the. So you remember you brought to my attention the not My Name Is Earl.
My friend Pedro.
My friend Pedro.
Yeah.
That's coming to Switch. It looks cool. I'm really excited to play.
I did not know that was coming to Switch.
Yeah, apparently. I don't know if we can get if there's a date on here. No, in June. My friend Pedro.
Katana Zero. That game looks awesome.
So I've been hearing about it. I haven't seen it. I think I missed that on the news.
Whoa. Can you go back?
What's up?
That looked like something from like. What was it? Blood Rage? Bloody Roar? No. That article you were on a second ago. What is that? Down there with the girl with the bunny.
Final Fantasy XIV newest races are gender locked and players are not happy.
Oh, I don't care though.
Is that a thing?
I thought well, those two characters almost looked like something out of Bloody Roar.
Oh, okay. What is Bloody Roar?
It was a fighting game where you could expend a large chunk of health to become like a mutant. So like sort of like werewolves, but with other animals as well.
Gotcha.
It was just fucking cool.
And you'd use your health to have more power.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
It was fun.
That's cool. Yeah, I was gonna look up Katana Zero because I know people have talked about it, but I haven't actually seen gameplay. Of that. But
it's definitely wearing its Hotline Miami influence on its sleeve, and that is okay.
Yeah, and like maybe a Ninja Gaiden, like original Ninja Gaiden kind of thing.
Yeah.
It reminds me a little bit of Celeste. Just as far as like maybe just the 2D aspect or the somewhat of how you're moving around. I don't know if there's anything from that, but not style wise for sure. This is like completely different, but.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm on board. I imagine it's super hard.
Yeah,
but I know people have been talking about it. I like that style a lot. So yeah, there's so we got Katana Zero,
Acid Wizard Studios.
One thing I really dug was Cuphead on Switch. Very soon, April 18th.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Apparently, so at GDC they were demoing it. I forget offhand where what podcast I listened to, but. It was running at 60 frames per second on Switch and without any flaws. It was just, the same core experience on Switch.
It's not really demanding.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know.
You just have to manage your RAM because of all the animations, but you can do that with that.
Gotcha.
You know something I saw that was fascinating? I was going through the eShop because I was trying to find Final Fantasy VII, which I don't know if it's out now. It wasn't when I was looking through, but I found a game about you being in a hotel, and there's zombies, and you got to work an elevator to get everyone.
That similar you were making.
That's like it's different, but yeah, it was like 3D, but you're just watching a security camera. You're trying to get around. I'm like, that was my game, sort of, but without guns. Like, I was just like, hey, someone had the same idea I did. That's funny.
Yeah, that's a bummer because I imagine like with anything, if you're not, it's just there's also somebody somewhere
Right.
working on something similar.
Absolutely.
And it's like a time based thing.
Yeah.
But it was different enough. Like they didn't have the shooting aspect to it because you had
I could totally if I had released Ground Floor Z, like it totally like people wouldn't be looking at those two going and be like, oh, somebody copied.
Yeah.
They'd just be like, oh, they just had the same idea.
The person who created it, you could see, oh, there's the similarities.
Yeah.
Here.
So clearly someone else thought it was a good idea too. They just executed
on the right track.
Way different. Way different.
What was the quality of theirs? Like, was it worth buying? You think, or it was just something that was on there and?
It didn't look like something I would buy. That being said, I didn't watch footage of it.
Gotcha.
So I think it was one of those things because you were just watching like 6 security cameras, and the zombies are coming at the people. So I think you want to move the elevator to get to them in time. So like if you can't imagine what my game was, but without the shooting, which I don't know really how that would work. So unless there is shooting, I just didn't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So one of the other big ones. This is how they ended the indie showcase, I believe. Yeah. It was Cadence of Hyrule, Crypt of the Necro Dancer is the original game, right? So they're merging those two. Like, what do you know about this?
I know so little about this. Okay. I know I played a bit of the original Crypt of the Necro Dancer. It was a really cool game.
Mm-hmm. It's music based or some kind of time aspect to it.
Yeah, rhythm based. You have to do your movements to the rhythm. Otherwise, I mean, the main punishment is just like you lose your multiplier, and when you have your multiplier, you get I forget all the benefits. Like some weapons, you deal more damage depending on your build. I want to say you get more gold when you kill enemies. Like there are definitely benefits to just staying on the rhythm. So in general, you want to.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Oh, there's even enemies that will only attack if you're off rhythm.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So the article I pulled up, I can kind of go into detail. So it's from Kotaku. Yeah. Stephen Totillo. So he's breaking down the dungeon crawling game Crypt of the Necromancer. So it's making a Zelda game called Cadence of Hyrule. I chose a wrong point to jump into that.
Cadence is the main character, by the way.
Gotcha. So I see. So the game appears to bring Cadence, the protagonist from Brace Yourself Games hit indie, which is the Crypt of the Necro Dancer, into the Zelda world, Link's world. So yeah, so I imagine it's still that same gameplay. Yeah, obviously, but with the Zelda kind of theme to it.
I bet he makes tweaks to the formula to make it kind of work because I think you could definitely do. Like you see him there in that screenshot firing that arrow.
Yeah.
And that looks... Now, there were projectile weapons. I don't remember if there... No, there was bows. Yeah, there was bow. There was a crossbow. I don't remember if they shot that far.
With the projectiles, are you trying to hit them to a beat or are you trying to release it to a beat?
I mean, everything you do is on the beat.
Gotcha.
So it'd be like move, shoot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it'll... I think it could be fun. I think they just had to tweak the enemies to feel Zelda-y. And that was the weird thing. I think when I was playing Crypt of the Necro Dancer, I'm like, I don't know how any other ways you could design enemies in that game. Like I don't know where else you would take those enemy designs. So
okay.
We'll kind of see.
So he does in this article, which I find interesting. So surprising as it is to see Nintendo offering 2 Zelda games in 1 year, it's even bigger shock to see Nintendo let an indie studio work with one of its biggest franchises.
Right.
So that is pretty cool. They have done that before with like Metroid. I think it was Other M was some other studio.
Yeah.
They've done that here and there, but yeah, especially a well-known franchise like Zelda. That's a big one.
Yeah, and they mentioned in the article that Capcom made some Zelda games. They did. They made... What was it? Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages, which were fantastic games.
Those are the GBA ones or something?
Yeah. And I think they even made, I could be wrong, I thought they made Minish Cap as well.
Oh, gotcha.
Which I never heard that much about.
I feel like people dug it. I didn't play it.
Yeah. I thought the graphics were gorgeous.
Yeah.
But yeah, Oracles of Ages and Oracles of Time? Oracles of Season. That was it. Yeah. Oh, so cool.
Gotcha. So I'm kind of jumping around. I do want to talk about Sekiro.
Sekiro.
So
I
yeah,
have no
tomorrow
idea
is
how to pronounce
interesting. That's going to be the Microsoft Indie Showcase. But
Mm.
oh yeah, so maybe one of the last things here is this double Switch rumor coming out. So possibly this summer. So I'm pulling up Engadget's article by Steve Dent. Nintendo could launch 2 new Switch consoles this year. Even without getting into it, I feel like why? But
Right.
and just honestly, because it's like the Switch is still selling gangbusters. It's still cheap enough, and so one of the rumors is there's a high-end model and like a cheaper model, but
Right.
I wouldn't really need a high-end model to compete with these other consoles. I'm not going to Switch for that. I'm going for a different experience.
It is kind of weird. Yeah, I guess just like you have one. I mean, the other thing is like how much more can you really if you are doing a high end model?
Yeah.
Is it still the Switch? Are you still able to pull it out of the dock and take it with
Right,
you? Because
right.
yeah, that's sort of the weird thing. Or is it just a base console? And then they said there was going to be a cheaper model. I think
The cheaper model makes more sense to me. Like
yeah.
You can't remove the Joy-Cons. It's just a thing. It's like almost like the 2DS. It's just static. It's just one console. I like that to have an extra one around the house.
Yeah.
I leave it in the bathroom or whatever, or like I have like me and Megan can have 2 of them. We just play games together. Like we just have a cheaper one, or you give it to your kid or something.
I think Destructoid in their article suggested that it just to supplement the fact that the 3DS is basically gone now. So if you have like a cheaper version, maybe something you can actually kind of play on the go. That being said, the games aren't really designed. Like when I play, like I had a hard time playing Breath of the Wild in mobile mode because there's so many icons in the corners and stuff.
Sure.
It's kind of hard to see. But I did play Smash Brothers I prefer it honestly in handheld mode.
Gotcha.
So it just sort of depends.
I know I actually don't like the Joy-Cons that much. I've been using a Pro Controller, like at least for Zelda recently, where and it's also me getting used to the different controls, like going back and forth with consoles. But I was crouching all the time in Breath of the Wild when I didn't want to. By clicking the left stick, I felt like it was super easy to click on accident.
Yeah.
And so I'd be fighting whoever and then just crouch and be stuck crouching and just freak out. Yeah. And so I'd switch to the Pro Controller. So yeah, I don't like the idea of just using the controller there. But I mean, I would do with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, we can go into the actual details of this. So apparently, this is the Wall Street Journal actually initially starting the report. But it's a rumor that's been around that they might expand in some capacity. So I'll just go word for word. Nintendo might launch 2 new Switches as early as this summer, and that's interesting too. Reports the Wall Street Journal. So as previously rumored, one would likely be a smaller and cheaper model with a focus on portability. However, Nintendo might also release a high-end model Switch aimed at more serious gamers in competition with Sony's PS4 and Microsoft Xbox One. It wouldn't have quite as much power as those consoles, however, according to the report. I know, yeah, we'd lose HD Rumble on the cheaper version, which, I mean, I'm fine with it.
Right.
Yeah, that's still rumor. The fact that multiple outlets are reporting on it seems to give it some credit, but it's just strange. They're just like knocking out of the park, so I don't feel the need, if I were them, to like start releasing different models, like another year maybe, and then start switching it up.
Yeah. I don't even know how to feel about it.
Right. It's like, okay, I'm fine with mine.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to buy a higher end, I wouldn't mind. We're looking at a picture of the Switch, the bezel around. I wouldn't mind less of a bezel.
Yeah,
and just a straight up screen. That'd be cool. If they can improve battery life, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe if they can fit a higher fidelity screen in there too, that's the higher end version. It's the same power, but it's just a higher resolution screen. That's cool.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
You know what I'd like? Just my one request for the high end one. Controllers that don't hate your hands.
Yeah, they're not
comfortable. Ideal. And I'll regularly just play with the 2 Joy-Cons out, but I still hate playing with them.
Yeah, I've been switching to Pro Controller, and that's the way to go, I think.
Yeah, but like you played whatchamacallit, Mario Odyssey, and like it's better to play with the Joy-Cons. Because then you have more control over your hat and stuff.
Yeah, you can move Cappy. Yeah, at the time I thought it was fine. Like for most games, I think it does work. I even played Celeste, which is like physically you have to. Right. It's pretty demanding. But I played that with the Joy-Cons. Yeah. And while maybe that was a lot of my frustration, I got through it and beat it. But yeah, for the most part, it works.
Yeah. I would take a bigger screen, less bezel.
Right, less bezel. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's really it. I did throw in Sekiro. I just don't know much about it. I know people are talking about it. It just released. It looks hard as balls, but it's there. What do you think about it? Are you
It's
interested?
nice watching. So I've been watching a bit. Oh, that was something I know you. I'll talk about it in a sec. Don't let me forget. Bloodborne and
Bloodborne?
Dark Souls. Anyway, yeah. So it's nice to see like a From Software game, and it really it feels like a From Software game just in terms of like presentation of the world and how big it is,
Yeah.
and like a lot of elements. It looks like it plays different. Like Bloodborne was like a more fast-paced version of Dark Souls with a different environment and all this
Yeah.
sort of stuff. This looks different. It's more about blocking and parrying and doing like combat is a little more it's different, and even the way your character is equipped, like in those games, having different weapons, like they all play differently. Whereas this one, you always have a sword, and you have your backup hand, which has cool tools in it, but you're like
Oh,
go
really?
gadget at that point. Yeah. So this one,
Interesting.
it's always the sword, and I think it's cool, and I'm glad that this studio still takes risks.
No, this is yeah, you're right. This is from. So they were doing
Yeah.
Bloodborne and Dark Souls.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they just really have a knack for these brutal, punishing games, but they seem to do it well. Like
Yeah.
they're always well renowned in what they release.
Yeah.
It's not for me at all. Like I had a hard enough time with Zelda. This is the last thing I want to fucking play.
Yeah, if you're having a hard time with Zelda, you don't want hardcore version.
If there was a baby mode, that'd be cool. I would like to like experience it, but I know it's so hard that it's just I can kind of I see it from afar and I just respect it, but I move on. Same with Dark Souls.
Yeah.
I think maybe Dark Souls is more approachable than this for sure.
No,
like
this
there
is
is
actually supposed to be easier than Dark Souls.
What? Okay.
Yeah.
Then maybe
But
I'll
I
check
mean, at
this
the
out.
end of the day, they're all still super hard. And
I did send you. You remind me to remind you about Dark Souls and Bloodborne, but I saw this thing recently. It was like a short GIF that Kotaku put out, but it was from Twitch. This guy streaming and playing back to back all Bloodborne.
yeah, it was amazing. That's what I was going to talk about, because
Gotcha.
I was there that night. I wasn't there for the whole time because this guy's playing like every single day trying to do this.
What's the back to back? Like, how does that work? How much time is he taking in between?
He's just going from game to game.
Jeez.
Like, I mean, he takes like breaks. Like, he'll go
Okay.
get tea or he'll go to the bathroom or whatever.
Yeah.
But he's not just like, I'll pick it up tomorrow. Like,
Oh,
he's
okay.
been. I mean, he did it. I want to say around a year ago.
Yeah.
He did Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3 back
Yeah.
to back. And that was I watched like almost the entire thing. It was amazing. Like just the amount of triumph and the community just being there and coming together for it. It was so cool.
Yeah.
And the fact that he decided to take that and make it that much more. I mean, because the other thing too is like, not only does it take an incredible amount of skill, but it's still, in addition, it takes an incredible amount of luck. The game can just screw you. There's gargoyles that can just teleport above you and smash you.
Okay.
like,
So there's a
just-
randomness to it.
Yeah, I mean that's not even a randomness thing. That's just like a glitchiness thing.
Okay.
And like the fact that he got consistent enough to beat those three, and you watch it, you're like, this is impossible. What
No,
he's
he also
doing.
didn't take a hit, right?
Yeah. So yeah,
guy
that's the
recently didn't
thing.
take hit.
No hits. He did it in I think 15 hours, something like that. But yeah, this
Wow.
time he added 2 more games. He added Bloodborne and
Just because it wasn't hard enough.
and Dark Souls. Yeah, and so technically it takes like 1 hit, but even like the creators of Dark Souls are just like, there's no
That's fine.
way around. It's a death. So
Gotcha.
there's like a scene where you walk in, the dragon fills the room with spikes and kills you.
But you're supposed to die.
Yeah, you have
Okay.
to, like, there's no like I think he said there's one way around it, and it's impossibly inconsistent. So you
Gotcha.
just can't do that. But yeah, the fact that he did all of them, and you're just biting your nails the whole time.
I imagine.
It's incredible. As good as he is, it's still
His buttle has to
stupid.
be like so tight for whatever 15 hours.
Right. Well, I think the funny thing is like he's memeing the whole way.
Oh, really?
Like the whole way
having
he's
fun.
joking around, he's being silly, he's being goofy, he's being an absolute fantastic entertainer.
Wow.
Just making it all that much more impressive. So that guy's incredible. He's been trying to do this for about a year now.
Dang.
Just a beast of a human being.
Yeah, I love that. I would never even fathom like doing that.
Right. Yeah.
That's awesome though.
So
But yeah, I saw that recently and I was like, yep. I feel like you told me about his previous attempts, and I wasn't sure if it was the same guy.
Yeah, it was the same guy. I actually fell asleep. I tried I wanted to watch him beat it, but it was like past my bedtime, so I like put in my Bluetooth headphones and I was going to listen to it while I sleep and just wait for him to either scream in victory or scream in defeat. But yeah, Happy Hob.
So this was March 9, 2018 from Kotaku. Yeah. So Dark Souls expert beats entire series without getting hit. Yeah.
I think he finished on Dark Souls 3, which that boss is so hard to it's so hard to watch that boss.
This is the last boss here that we're watching?
Oh, this is from a different time.
Oh, okay. Is it?
Yeah.
This is 2018. Yeah. This is last year. So
did he beat it wearing that stupid makeup? I don't remember him wearing that.
So this is from Polygon. Let's see. We have Twitch streamer, the Happy Hop. She pulls off 5-game no-hit Soulsborne run right before Sekiro launch. That is awesome.
And the fact that he did it too, like right before the Sekiro launch, was just a cool coincidence. And now he's like, I thought it was crazy that he got up the next day and just started streaming again. Like I would have taken a break. Yeah. But no, he just gets up and now he's playing Sekiro and he's struggling through it, and which is kind of fun. And I've seen him be ridiculously good at these games. So I watched him play Dark Souls 3 for the first time and still struggling through it. Like it's nice to see that. Yes, he is human. He's got this good for a reason. Like he worked really hard to get where he is.
Yeah. So is Demon Souls? I'm just looking at the breakdown of the order. So it's Bloodborne, as far as he played them. Bloodborne, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls, Demon Souls, and Dark Souls 3. Is Demon Souls in between those two?
Demon Souls was the very first Souls game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well,
so what's with the order?
Technically, there are some weird first-person games that we don't talk about anymore.
Gotcha.
But yeah, Demon Souls came out first. And then they launched
Dark
Bloodborne, Souls, which is the Dark Souls series is very similar to Demon Souls.
Okay.
Bloodborne was sort of its offshoot.
So now the next challenge is to do all those again with Sekiro at the end, right?
Oh god, that would be. I mean, unfortunately, the next I don't know where. That's the thing. Like whenever he's completed one, he's usually just assigned himself an immediate goal afterwards. Like last time he did it, I think his goal was either like all bosses or which the all boss run is stupid hard.
I imagine.
And then
this guy used to be like was he a previous addict or something? Like I'm trying to think of the mindset. Is he, now sober? Like how do you just normally want to do this? I feel like you're supplementing some other kind of thing. This is helping you deal with, not whatever, doing something crazy destructive, like maybe he used to or used to be on drugs or whatever, and now he's like, no, I'm free now, I'm just beating myself up playing Dark Souls over and over again. I wonder the mindset that brings you into that.
I couldn't tell you.
It makes more sense to me if he's in AA or something, and this is helping
no, I don't think he was a former drug guy. He's just
gotcha. Which I'm not knocking him. Go for it. But
challenge. And I think the thing too is he's not easily shakeable. Like the fact that his nerves going into it, 4 games in, like any enemy could take him out at any point in time. Like he had some bad RNG, and he definitely did. Like they're
and what's with the character? So we're watching footage of him.
The character?
Yeah, that he's playing.
So that's Dido, I believe.
Okay, this is another person.
But yeah, he he goes, they do like no clothes because then you can always do your little rolls and cartwheels and stuff.
Oh.
If you have the flip ring and stuff. I don't really
Interesting.
know.
But there's technique to that.
But yeah, there's a reason. I mean, if you're not going to get hit anyway, you might as well not be wearing clothes and get all the advantages of not wearing clothes. Yep. And I don't know if you can have bigger weapons because I know it all adds to your weight, which if you have too much weight, then you do what's called the fat roll. People don't really like that term, but when you see it, you're like, well, that's what that is.
Okay. I gotta check that. But yeah, I know we kind of talked about Sekiro, but I imagine you'd have something to say about it. I one day maybe I'll try it, but I know that I'm gonna suck at it. I know it's gonna be super hard. So
I just worry if I play these games, I get the addiction because you see people play them and they can't stop, and these games are long too.
Gotcha.
So it's like you're just gonna,
yeah, it's not for me, but I respect it. That's it, Gavin.
Is that it?
That's it. We're about an hour. We talked about most of the stuff. Tomorrow there'll be, the Microsoft Indie announcement, but and I'm sure other stuff will happen throughout the week. But that's it.
I'm curious to see how Microsoft does. Like, I mean, they kind of like last E3, They just rolled the hell out.
Yeah, as far as like they have a bunch of now first party studios under the belt, but this is not maybe that happening. It's them aligning with, you know, all these indies now, which was somebody brought up recently. It was on Twitter, really with the Nindies happening recently and how it seemed like, you know, they've been really kind of taking the over just releasing all these indie games when Microsoft kind of started it with the Xbox Live. Was it the summer? It was like the marketplace thing they did.
Games,
that kind of kickstarted
Games Arcade, and they did. But I think the thing that's exciting for Nintendo is like indies have traditionally not had a good relationship with Nintendo.
Seems
Nintendo
like it,
could really
like
give
Wii
a
U for
shit.
sure, not there at all.
Yeah, not like the Wii had stuff, but like not really, and not in the way that you could get with, you know, Microsoft or definitely on Steam. So yeah,
That's a loud train.
that's a lot of train. I think the other thing too is the fact that the big deal for the indies is they made so much more money on Nintendo a lot of times than they did on any other platform.
Oh, interesting.
And that's pretty cool for indies. So they're digging it.
And they have a lot of options now, it seems like. You have
They
PlayStation chomping at the bit. You have Microsoft. You have Nintendo. These other possible streaming services. You have Apple with their announcement. So, like, indies really have, you know, a choice of where to go and what to release on.
Yeah, which does make your job that much more harder as an indie developer.
That's true.
Yeah.
But now that's a better problem to have, right? You have, like, a problem of, oh, what do I develop for and how do I spread my time?
Sorta. I mean, it's also got that frustration of people, like, when they see stuff come out on, like, PC, like an indie game or something, people just start demanding it for the Switch.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
it's just
Without
like-
thinking about it for a second, it's like, oh, Switch.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Whether I'm going to buy it or not, I want it on Switch.
Yeah. So just chill, guys. Just
Yeah.
chill.
Gotcha.
So what was your most exciting thing for this week?
I mean, Stadia was a cool, like, refreshing. It was nice to have something new to report on, or some just new console kind of emerging, like at least the start of a new console. We haven't had something like that in a while, and this potentially is that in a weird style, but it is a new, you know, competitor to the three big dogs. So I that was pretty interesting to me. I really like that.
Yeah.
I loved seeing, you know, the Nindy stuff just because I'm really in a Nintendo kick. The Switch has really brought me back to Nintendo, and I'm just like, I'm a kid again. Like, I'm on board with everything they're doing. So even the VR Labo stuff, I want to try it. I want to see what they do. I want to experience it. I haven't done any of the Labo stuff, but
you seem like you'd like Labo.
I think so for sure. And, like, you know, my nephew, he's 8. He would love, and we talked about it. We just haven't never pulled the trigger and actually got him, but he was super interested in, you know, building them, and, like, there's just a lot of fun there. And so I'm on board. I'm really back on the team because, you know, Wii U didn't play at all. Wii barely played.
I don't know how expensive the Labo is.
There's various price points. I think they're getting cheaper now, but, like, there was that one when they initially launched that big robot suit was like $80 or something.
Yikes.
And then there was various cheaper ones, just like the fishing rod for, I want to say 40. The VR thing is similar too, where there's like a $80 one and like a $40, $60 one. So there's kind of options there. Or I could just build my own cardboard thing. And it'll look like, you know, shit, but
There you go.
yeah. But yeah, what about you?
Honestly, the thing that stole it at the very end is probably that even though I don't care about VR, is that whatchamacallit VR?
The No Man's Sky.
Yeah, I would so play that game VR.
Yeah, that's part of their Beyond release, which I imagine summer. I don't know if they've pinned down a date, but yeah, and if that's another just free update, which I think the VR component is, that's awesome. Like, they're really nailing it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the way to experience that game too. I remember when they announced it, it's just like, I would love a VR thing. And I think they talked to, was it Sean Murray? Yeah. And he was just kind of, we're not really, like, interested in it right now. Yeah. They had so much problems then anyways. That was the last freaking thing. But yeah, that's really cool. That's going to be awesome to play it that way.
Yeah. And I think they said they had 3 announcements for that game?
Possibly. I know they announced Beyond, and then it's going to be some kind of further extended multiplayer content. And then there's a VR thing. So I imagine if they are rolling out more, they've got some more opportunities to you know, what would be the next thing? Like, a different platform? Because it is on Xbox now. Before, I think it was just PlayStation, just PC. Right? They had some kind of exclusivity deal for a little while. Maybe Switch. There's like, hey, we have a
I don't think the Switch can run that thing. I don't. Yeah, especially when they're making it even, like, prettier and making making it.
What if you get the version it launched with on Switch? It's like, hey, that's how we're gonna.
I think
the
the Switch could probably handle that, honestly.
Yeah, that's there.
Yeah, well, cool.
All right, man. Let's end it. So this has been us. This has been the Plastic Hearts podcast. I'm Gavin. I'm Fonzie. You can.
Yeah, we flipped around from the start.
Who am I? I'm Fonzie. You can find me at Fonzie Pants with a Z on Twitter. Gavin, where can they find you?
I'm Gavin, and you can find me at Drunk Devs on Twitter.
Awesome. Well, thanks. We'll see you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.